Here I will be showing you an example of a flipped lesson that I did in reading with my class. The skill for this lesson was asking and answering questions, and I did an in-class flip utilizing that morning work time. So for morning work on this day, my students were taking a picture walk through the story that we were going to read and recording 3 questions about the story just from looking at the pictures. This was usually something that I would do with the class as a group in the beginning of the lesson together, but since my students have devices, I decided to just snip the pictures from the story into a flip chart and assign them the flip chart so that they could take the picture walk on their own and they can record their questions on their own so that we eliminate that part from the actual lesson and save us some time. So what I did is I put the pictures in a flip chart. I put on the first page of the flip chart, I put directions, and I recorded myself reading the directions so that they could do it completely independently on their own and they didn't need any help from me. So when they came in the morning, they opened the flip chart, took the picture walk, recorded the 3 questions that they had about the story. Here are 2 examples of the questions that students were asking and what their paper looked like after they were finished this part of the morning work. After recording the 3 questions that they had, they needed to pick 1 question to post for the class. And you can see the little girl on the left circled the question that she was planning on posting. The second part of the morning work was to post that 1 question to our Padlet wall for the lesson. So the students went to the Padlet wall that I had assigned them and created, and they posted their 1 question to that wall. I had students type their question but also record themselves asking the question because I do have some students who cannot read independently, especially when it's written by another first grader. So this way, students could either read the question in the text or they can watch the video and hear the question that way. So this was the second part of the morning work. The first part was taking the picture walk and recording the questions, and then this was the second part, choosing their 1 question that they wanted to post on the Padlet wall. That way, when we got to reading on this day, we were able to just start working. I eliminated that whole group part that we normally do together, and students immediately began working. The other students in the class started working on their independent work, and I was able to pull a very small group of students, 2 of which came in late and missed the morning work part, so I pulled them immediately and just had them ask a couple questions just by looking at the pictures that I had on hand. And then the 1 little girl, I noticed by looking at the Padlet wall that she wasn't asking a question, she was actually telling me a statement about the pictures, so I knew that she was in need of a reteach. So this was my chance to pull a small group, either provide a reteach immediately or help the students who missed the morning work and catch them up. The Padlet kind of served as a pre-assessment for this lesson because I was able to see which students were asking questions and which students were not asking questions. And if they were asking questions, which students were doing a really great job asking strong questions, or which students might need a little more help creating stronger questions. While I pulled that small group, my other students began right away on their independent work. And for this day, the independent work was to actually listen and read the story and then go back and answer a few of their friends' questions from the Padlet wall. So this was the answering questions part of the lesson. So this story came from Reading Wonders. It was an interactive read aloud, so they were listening to it on their device, clicking through the cards, and then after they listened to it, they went back to that Padlet wall and answered 3 student questions. You can see the little girl on the right is at the point where she's at the Padlet wall listening to a question and she's going to record an answer. Here were some examples of the answering questions side. This was just copied on the back of their asking questions side, so they could just turn it over and record their answers to the questions. They got to write down the name of the student who asked the question on the Padlet, and then they answered that student's question in a complete sentence. Here are two more examples from the answering questions. So during this time that students are working, I'm able to spend that entire time meeting with small groups, whether we're working on questioning skills, whether I need to pull a small group for sight word practice or phonics practice, maybe I need to pull an enrichment group, whatever I need to do that day, I have all that time while students are working on their own to start meeting with small groups and meeting with individual students that I need to meet with. I'm going to stop here and I will do the flipped phonics lesson in the phonics part of this site.